You've had all your fertility labs. They came back normal. Your OB said, just keep trying. Maybe your REI said IVF is the next step, but you're still not pregnant and no one can tell you why. I can. I've seen this exact scenario thousands of times with the women in my program. Their labs were fine, but they weren't fine. Something important was getting missed. And when we found it, and more importantly addressed it, they finally got pregnant. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly why your labs can look normal, and yet your body still isn't ready to conceive, and what to do about it. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, the fertility expert. For over 22 years, I've helped women all over the world get pregnant naturally with our support and by getting to the root cause of their fertility struggles. So if your labs are normal, but you're still not seeing that positive pregnancy test, this video is for you. Before we start, I've created a free fertility masterclass where I walk you through my 5-step proven system to transform your fertility and reignite your hope. I'm gonna leave the link below in the description so that you can watch it. It's free. You're going to love it. Number one is that normal doesn't mean optimal. Your lab reference ranges are designed for average health, not optimal fertility. And what your doctor may not be telling you is that just because you fall within normal range doesn't mean your hormones are balanced for conception or for you as an individual. In my HOPE Fertility Coaching Program, we teach you what optimal ranges really are for AMH, FSH, progesterone, TSH, and so much more. And I show you how to interpret your labs for fertility, not just for general health. One of the members of my program, her thyroid levels came back normal. I see this all the time, meaning in this case, her TSH came back what would be normal, but maybe not perfect or optimal for fertility, for implantation, for a healthy pregnancy. And what we saw with her was that she fell into this normal large reference range, right? But the optimal range for fertility is quite more narrow. I often we have sometimes issues when I am coaching my patients and I send them back to their doctor for some thyroid support or thyroid medication because they're not out of the clinical reference range, okay? And in most doctor's offices, to get proper support, you need to be clinically abnormal, meaning your TSH in this case needs to be clinically high, not subclinical or just a little bit, right? Which still means you're in that clinical normal range. So a good example is a normal reference range for TSH is in most places, because this can vary from lab to lab, is let's just say it's 0.45 on the low end to 4.5 on the high end, okay? This is on average what we see. It can vary from lab to lab. If your levels are, let's just say 3.5 or 3.9, you're not out of the clinical reference range, but you are not in the optimal fertility range, which is between 1 and 2, okay? It may be hard for you to get the support you need from your OBGYN or primary because you're not outside or considered abnormal yet or elevated. Those are some of the things that we see that, you could fall into a normal lab range, but not an optimal range for fertility. But in her case, once we were able to regulate her TSH, her thyroid function properly, and we're not just doing this with TSH, we do this with all levels. I'm just using this as an example. She was actually able to get pregnant. The next step is staying pregnant. We want to make sure that that happens as well. But in her case, that was the first step to success. She hadn't been pregnant before. So I say this to you because I want you to understand what it means to be normal, but not optimal. Number two, you are more than just a lab number. Your body is more than test results. It's about how you feel, how your cycles look, how your energy is, how your digestion is functioning, what your stress levels are all about. If your labs are normal, your doctors often stop looking. It doesn't matter. You're fine. Go along your way. We don't stop. For me, it's essential that you're also feeling good, that you are feeling like you've got energy and you've got vitality and spirit and you could think clearly and sleep well. All these things matter. If your lab work looks fine, but you still feel like shit, what does that make a difference? Like I often hear this story where, there's a woman, she walks into her OB's office and she's like, doc, and this is true, right? I'm saying this, but this happens in many ways. Doc, my cycles are irregular. I'm having hot flashes. I don't have energy. I can't sleep at night. She goes on with her list. The doc says, okay, so let's run some lab work. Come back in a week. We'll see what the results tell us. She's like, great. We're going to get some answers. She goes and she does lab work. She comes back in a week and the doc says, I got wonderful news for you. Your labs are all normal. You're in great health. You look just fine. But she still feels terrible. And the doctor has no answers for her. right? So sometimes it's not about what the labs are saying. It's about digging deeper. So in my HOPE coaching program, we evaluate your entire body, all the systems, gut health, inflammation, toxins, stress response. How does this all tie together to impact and influence your fertility? Because they absolutely do. So I had a patient, her labs looked great. She knew it, I knew it, our other doctors knew it. Cycles were regular, everything was functioning fine, sort of say. And as I started asking her more questions, because we get used to things, by the way, like we get used to feeling bad, so we don't think it's a big deal. Let's just say like you're constipated and you've had it your whole life. Oh, it's just normal. Like my son has headaches every day. He doesn't think there's a day, he doesn't know what it's like to not have headaches. So if I ask him how he's feeling, he's going to say fine. He won't even bring it up because it's such a common place for him. But if I ask him, do you have headaches or how bad are your headaches? Now I've got a conversation, right? Now I understand. So I asked her, tell me about your digestive system. And she goes, oh, yeah, actually, you know what? I haven't thought about that in a while, but I have painful digestion. I have stomach cramps. She said she's stressed. We did an extra test, showed high cortisol levels. Those were impacting one another. Her stress levels, cortisol was impacting her digestive system, wasn't allowing it to relax and rest. Once we regulated her cortisol levels, allowed her to learn how to manage her stress, regulate her levels, her digestive system, her pain settled down. And we were able to dig deeper into her digestive system, realize what was the underlying issue, and support those things simultaneously. So we supported her cortisol and her stress response. We supported her digestive system. All the other hormonal labs looked fine. And if she would have gone someplace else, they would have just been giving her pills to improve egg quality. I focused on what she needed and she got pregnant. I say this because I want you to understand it's about your whole body's health, right? And it's not always what your labs are telling you. Number 3 is sometimes you're just missing the root cause. That's because sometimes things are hidden. Many issues like mild or silent endometriosis, Hashimoto's disease, inflammation don't always show up on standard labs. I mean, if they're extreme, they will, but not always. And many of your primary physicians, your OBGYNs, they're not trained to dig deeper unless there's obvious red flag signs because they've got a lot of patients to see and they're dictated by other guidelines. So we use advanced root cause testing in the program to find out what's really actually going on. And we make sure that you get the proper support to address those things. So by having the right tests, interpreting them appropriately, we can create a plan based on the real root cause issues. So a great example of this is that I had a member who had perfect AMH, regular ovulation, cycles were clockwork, but she was never tested for an inflammatory marker that showed silent endo. So we tested for that. And when that came up positive, I scratched my head and I said, this is not definitive, but we need to dig deeper. Sent her for a biopsy, came back positive. And then we knew that we needed to send her to an endo specialist. Okay. Once we did that, we were able to address the root issue. So simultaneously, what happened with her was that she went to an endo specialist for surgery, right? To have excision surgery, which was a laparoscopy. Simultaneously, now that I knew that that was there, I was addressing things as in a root way with digestion, lifestyle, supplementation. Once she had the surgery, she recovered. It was about 2 months later. She started trying. 2 months later, she was pregnant naturally. If we're able to get to the root cause, which isn't always so glaring, right? It's not always in your face. You can get the results that you need and that you deserve. Number 4, tracking your cycle can often tell us a different story. So when you look deeper at your cycle, you might see, oh, I'm spotting before I bleed. I might have a short luteal phase, which means for those of you who don't know that the time after that period of time, those 2 weeks after ovulation is shorter. Your temperatures, if you're testing with BBT, which is my favorite, is lower. Even with normal labs, sometimes your body is not ready to conceive and your cycles reflect that. So if you're not tracking your temps, how you feel, your mood, your energy all month long, we're missing out on valuable information. And that's not something your OV tracks. They're just not trained to do that. So I go beyond just regular OPK tracking method to track properly your overall menstrual cycle and your menstrual rhythm, right? And understanding your cycle in detail so that nothing is missed. This is a key component to getting the results when this is missing. So you might have a 28-day cycle, and this is a true story of a woman in my program. You might have a 28-day cycle, but you still might have a short luteal phase, right? If you're ovulating later, that luteal phase could be shorter. In her case, it was only 8 days. If it's only 8 days, that's way too short. So we need to understand why that's happening and address that at the root so that your cycles can be more properly normal and regulated so that you don't have the spotty, you don't have the short luteal phase, right? That your temps are normal throughout the cycle. This is essential for a healthy cycle and proper fertility. So sometimes it's about tracking your cycle even when your labs look all normal. Number 5, you need a real plan. Telling you to just relax or to wait around for labs to change when you're not really given a lot of proper advice, that's not a clear strategic fertility plan. Being pushed out the door to just go towards IUI or IVF because they don't know what to do or they don't have time for you, that's also not a plan to address your true fertility needs. You need a clear, personalized roadmap based on labs, cycle signs, symptoms, emotional needs. You need a comprehensive approach so that you don't have to do this alone and you don't have to guess what to do your next cycle. The term unexplained infertility is often used. It drives me crazy. There was a woman in my program for 3 years. 3 years. They told her it was unexplained. 1, I don't believe that anything's unexplained. But 2, for 3 years, you're not pregnant after 3 years, it's unexplained. There has to be answers. Has to be. For me, in 6 months, we evaluated her, gave her a full plan, restored her ovulation so she had a regular cycle, and she was pregnant in 6 months because we found answers. You all need a real plan based on your specific needs, not just told to relax or wait. That's not going to cut it and shouldn't cut it for you any longer. You can improve your fertility. You can feel empowered again. And yes, you can get pregnant, even if it hasn't happened yet, even if the doctors gave up on you, even if you're starting to doubt yourself. There is a way for you to become a mom, even if the path looks different than what you expected. The first step, booking a free fertility assessment with me and my team. If this resonates with you, if you're tired of hearing that there's nothing you can do, I want you to know that that is absolutely not true. Let's find the why behind your fertility struggles and map out a plan that's based on you, not just your lab numbers. This is your first step towards real answers, real hope, and a real plan. Click on the link in the description below to book your free fertility assessment because your next chapter can start right now. And until the next video, stay fertile.